Greetings, esteemed listeners. Today's auditory experience has been meticulously curated to enhance your cognitive engagement and linguistic sophistication through the strategic utilization of, the implementation of verbal, wait, what was I saying? Oh no, I totally blanked.
Okay. Take a breath. I wasn't sure if you were speaking English or casting a spell.
Ugh. I rehearsed that like 6 times. It sounded smarter in my head.
Honestly, you could have just said, "Hey friends, today we're going to help you sound smart in English," without using big scary words. Simple, clear, actually helpful.
Yeah, okay. Lesson learned. Let's do this the non-robotic way. Hey there, English learners. Welcome back to another episode of the English Leap podcast, your go-to English podcast for learning real, useful English with zero pressure.
And zero boring lessons. I'm Evan.
And I'm Erin. And today's topic is something I think a lot of people secretly worry about.
Yep. How do I sound smart in English if I don't know a bunch of big words? But honestly, it's not really about what you say. It's how you say it.
Ugh, let's be real. Just throwing in fancy vocabulary doesn't actually make you sound smarter. Sometimes it just makes things more confusing. Or worse, robotic.
Yeah, totally. Native speakers don't usually say, "I'm experiencing an emotional disturbance." They just say, "I'm upset."
So today we're sharing simple, powerful ways to sound confident, clear, and yes, smart in English, without needing to pull out a dictionary every 5 seconds.
And before we jump in, just a reminder that we've created a free PDF for this episode. It's packed with all the key points, comprehension questions, and grammar practice to help you learn English faster.
You'll find the link in the description. Just download it and follow along. It'll really help you remember what we talk about today.
And stick around till the end, because Charlotte will join us for the vocabulary breakdown, where she'll make today's trickiest words way easier to remember.
So let's break this down. What actually makes someone sound smart in English, if it's not big vocabulary?
It starts with something that sounds simple, but makes a huge difference. Point number 1, clarity is power. Have you ever listened to someone who speaks so clearly, with simple words, but somehow everything they say just hits? You lean in. You understand every word. You trust them. That's the power of clarity.
I know exactly what you mean. I once watched this motivational speaker. He didn't use any fancy words at all. But the way he paused, the way he emphasized the right words, he said, "You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present." And the whole room went silent. It gave me goosebumps.
That's a perfect example. Clarity isn't about being slow or basic. It's about intentional speaking. You know what you're saying, why you're saying it, and you let each word land.
And let's be honest, when English isn't your first language, it's so tempting to overcompensate by using big words. But most of the time, that just clutters your message.
Yep. Even native speakers get this wrong. Trying to sound smart often ends up sounding confusing. So instead of trying to sound impressive, aim to sound understandable.
That's such an important mindset. And hey, English learners, here's something simple you can try. Take any thought, something about your day, your plans, whatever's on your mind, and say it out loud in 10 words or less. It might feel a little awkward at first, but it really helps your brain practice being clear and direct. Keep doing it, and you'll notice your English starting to feel sharper, smoother, and way more natural.
So now that we've talked about clarity, let's move to something a lot of learners don't realize matters just as much, if not more, and that's your tone.
Right. This is one of those things that flies under the radar. People spend so much time worrying about the words they use, but forget that how you say something often matters way more than what you say.
Totally. I used to think I had to use big intellectual-sounding words to come across as smart. But one day, I listened to someone explain a complicated topic using the calmest, clearest tone. And suddenly, it all clicked. I realized they sounded smart because they sounded in control. They sounded human.
Exactly. There's this power in tone that we underestimate. Take the phrase, "I understand." If you rush it or say it flatly, it can sound cold or uninterested. But say it slowly, with warmth. "I understand." And now it feels sincere. It feels like you actually care.
That's the beauty of tone. It can take a simple sentence and make it meaningful. You don't need to be dramatic. You just need to be present and actually feel what you're saying.
And here's the fun part. Most native speakers don't even realize how much they use tone to communicate. It's why two people can say the exact same words, and only one of them sounds thoughtful, confident, and worth listening to.
So, if you're an English learner and you're not sure what to focus on next, start paying attention to your tone. Don't worry so much about using big words. Focus on your pace, your energy, and how you want the listener to feel.
All right, friends. Here's something simple you can try right now. Pick an easy sentence, like, "I'm happy to help." Say it once the way you normally would. Now try it again, but this time, smile while you say it. And then say it one more time, but sounding tired or maybe even bored. Feel the difference? The words didn't change, but the feeling totally did. That's the power of tone. Practice this with everyday phrases, and you'll start noticing how your English sounds more natural, more expressive, and way more confident.
So far, we've talked about being clear with your words and present with your tone. Now let's look at something that quietly makes your English sound more professional, without adding any big vocabulary at all.
Yeah, this one's a game changer, especially in conversations. It's all about using the right connectors.
Yep. Smart connectors are those simple phrases that tie your thoughts together smoothly. They make you sound organized, thoughtful, and honestly a lot more fluent.
Right, and the best part is, they're not complicated at all. Think phrases like, "On the other hand," "That being said," "Let's break it down," or "Here's the thing." They're short, but they instantly make you sound like someone who knows where they're going in a conversation.
And without them, your sentences can feel choppy or disconnected, even if your grammar is perfect. Smart speakers don't just throw ideas out, they guide people through them. That's what these connectors do.
It's like being a tour guide for your own thoughts. You're not just speaking, you're taking the listener with you.
So friends, try this. Choose 3 connectors. Maybe, first of all, on the other hand, and in conclusion. Now take a simple topic, like your weekend, and practice saying 3 short sentences using those phrases to connect your ideas. You'll be surprised how quickly your English starts sounding more polished and confident.
Once you've got a clear voice, a strong tone, and smart connectors, here's another trick that instantly makes you stand out: asking better questions.
Let's say someone tells you about their trip. Instead of asking, "Did you like it?" try something like, "What was your favorite part of the trip?" It invites a better answer, and it makes you sound more thoughtful.
Exactly. And it's the same at work, in class, even with new friends. Good questions show curiosity, and curious people always come across as smarter.
And you don't need complicated grammar to do this. Simple phrases like, "Why do you think that?" or "How did that feel?" go a long way. They turn small talk into real talk.
Here's a great way to practice this, friends. After listening to any English podcast or video, try to ask one follow-up question out loud, just like you're talking to the speaker. It helps you build the habit of thinking in English and framing better questions naturally.
So, sounding smart in English doesn't mean sounding complicated. It means being clear, being connected, and knowing how to lead a great conversation without overwhelming your listener.
And you know what really smart communicators also do? They know when not to speak. All right, English leapers. Here's something that might feel a little unexpected. One of the smartest things you can do when speaking English is to say nothing at all. Not forever, of course, but just for a moment. Let's talk about the power of pausing.
This is so underrated. I used to think pausing made me look unsure, like I didn't know what to say. But then I started noticing how the best speakers use pauses, on purpose. They don't fill every second with words. They speak, then they stop, and you find yourself hanging on to every word.
Right. Great speakers don't rush. They speak, then they pause. And when they speak again, you lean in because it feels important. Think about it. Have you ever heard someone say something simple like, "That is what changed everything for me"? And then they stop, just for a second? That pause? It gives the words weight. It gives your brain a second to process. And it shows you're in control.
Exactly. The pause isn't just for drama, it's for connection. When you pause, you're saying to your listener, "I'm not rushing. I trust you to keep listening. This matters." And when you're learning English, that can feel scary, right? Because you're afraid of awkward silence. But the truth is, a calm pause feels way more confident than fast, nervous talking.
So many language learners think fluency means speaking fast. But real fluency isn't speed. It's rhythm. It's timing. And that includes the brave little silence between sentences.
I love that. Brave silence. Because sometimes it takes more courage to pause than to keep talking. But when you do, people listen differently. You hold space. You own your message.
And here's a simple challenge for you, English leapers. Pick a short paragraph. Maybe a story, a journal entry, or a podcast script. Now, read it out loud. But this time, pause after every full sentence. Count to 2 before you speak again.
Even if it feels slow at first, keep going. The goal isn't to sound dramatic. It's to build control, clarity, and confidence in your rhythm. Over time, you'll notice something amazing. You'll stop rushing, and people will start listening more.
Because here's the truth. Smart speakers don't talk more. They say just enough, and let silence do the rest.
And that brings us to the end of today's tips.
But before we wrap up, let's make sure the key words from this episode really stick.
Yep, time for Charlotte's vocabulary breakdown, where she'll explain some of the most useful words we use today.
All right, English leapers, let's hand it over to Charlotte.
Hey there, English leapers. Let's take a moment to review some of the key words and phrases you heard in today's episode, so you can understand them clearly and start using them confidently in your own conversations. Here we go. Goosebumps. Meaning, small bumps on your skin caused by cold or strong emotions like fear, excitement, or inspiration. Example, that speech was so powerful it gave me goosebumps. Overcompensate. Meaning, to try too hard to fix a weakness, usually by doing too much of the opposite. Example, she overcompensated for her nervousness by talking nonstop. Fly under the radar. Meaning, to go unnoticed or avoid attention. Example, he prefers to fly under the radar at work, but he gets things done quietly. Intellectual. Meaning, relating to deep thinking, ideas, or intelligence, someone who enjoys mental challenges. Example, she enjoys intellectual conversations about history and culture. Underestimate. Meaning, to think something or someone is less capable or important than they really are. Example, Don't underestimate how much small changes can impact your English skills. Curiosity, meaning a strong desire to learn or know more. Example, his curiosity about languages led him to study 3 different ones. Overwhelm, meaning to feel like there's too much to handle emotionally, mentally, or physically. Example, I felt overwhelmed by all the new vocabulary in my English book. Underrated, meaning not appreciated or valued as much as it should be. Example, pausing while speaking is an underrated way to sound more confident. Intentional, meaning done with clear purpose or planning. Example, she made an intentional effort to improve her pronunciation each day. Awkward, meaning uncomfortable or strange, especially in social situations. Example, the silence after his joke was a bit awkward, but he laughed it off. That's all for today's breakdown. Keep using these words and phrases in real conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. Now back to you, Aaron and Evan.
Thanks, Charlotte. That was super helpful, as always.
And to all our English Leapers listening, thank you for joining us today. We hope these tips help you speak with more clarity, confidence, and calm.
If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who's also on their English journey. And don't forget to grab your free PDF. It's linked in the description.
We'll be back soon with more practical tips and fun conversations to help you speak smarter, not harder.
Until then, keep learning, keep leaping, and don't forget to pause.
See you next time on the English Leap podcast.